Welcome to the NarcDojo Podcast, where each episode is a treasure trove of insights, tools, and stories to help you break free from the shackles of narcissistic abuse and step into a life of strength and joy. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about narcissists and stalking. So it is very well that you may deal with stalking after the narcissistic entanglement. So we're going to delve deep into this in this episode in hopes that this information helps you to heal and helps you to navigate this very challenging situation. Shika is the name. Thank you for tuning into this episode. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Here are 7 reasons why narcissists may stalk you after the relationship ends. So, stalking behavior by narcissists after a relationship can be motivated by various factors. So, number 1, loss of control. Narcissists have a strong need for control and dominance, and when a relationship ends, they might feel a loss of control over the other person. So, oftentimes people will wonder why narcissists are so controlling. And simply put, this is the level of thinking. This is the level of consciousness that you will get from someone that is stuck in the 3rd dimension or someone that did not develop past their lower ego. They have to control others. It helps them to feel better about their pathologically low self-esteem. Self-esteem so low that they would probably have to look up to see it. So in their minds, at their level of consciousness, when they control others, it helps them to feel better about themselves. So understand that in the 3rd dimension is where you find dictator energy. It is colonizer energy. It is egomaniac energy. And the ego has the insatiable desire of needing to be fed. And one of the ways that the ego is fed is through control of others. So in the 3rd dimension is where you find force. So you're going to find forceful people, colonizers, dictators, etc. And then once you pass the level of courage is where you step into your power. So we're talking about powerful people that do not need to rule by force. However, pathological narcissists are stuck in the 3rd dimension. Again, they're based in shame and they cannot move past their pride. And control or needing excessive control is their level of thinking. Number 2, narcissistic injury. The end of a relationship may be perceived as a threat to the narcissist's self-esteem and self-worth. Stalking may be an attempt to regain a sense of power. So a narcissistic injury is when a pathological narcissist perceives a threat, whether real or imagined, that goes against their grandiose false self, that goes against the ego, that goes against the mask that they wear. So if you end the relationship, or even if the narcissist initiated the discard, they still want control. And it could be that you are not reaching out to them and this is causing a narcissistic injury, or you have cut off or limited communication. So in the narcissist's mind, they're saying, how dare you? How dare you not let me control you? And this in itself causes a narcissistic injury because they have a very fragile ego. And if you think of the ego as being very thin-skinned, it will make a lot more sense because that is really what you are dealing with. You're dealing with an egomaniac. Pathological narcissists are programmed backwards, where they are ego first and their spirits are shriveling up. So Personality Development 101, Spirituality 101, understand that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are spirit or life force, source energy, chi, prana, the observer, the watcher, etc., governing a human body with access to tools, namely our mind power, our willpower, and our emotions. But when it comes to pathological narcissists, their spirits are shriveled up. So their spirits are dying. They are programmed backwards. Pathological narcissists actually believe that they are the ego. They believe that they are the mask. They believe that they are a mind-made construct. And because they have identified with the mind, this is why they are losing their minds. And not only are they losing their minds, they actually are losing their entire souls. And this is why clinicians classify this as a personality disorder, because the personality is a similar equivalent to the soul or the psyche. It is made up of the mind power, the willpower, and the emotions. However, understand that when we're talking about pathological narcissism, we're talking about a psycho-spiritual illness. So they have an impairment at the level of mind, at the level of emotions, because again, they're based in shame and they cannot move past their pride. Pride is the most positive emotion that they can feel. So they do not have access to courage. They do not have access to love. They do not have access to empathy. They do not have access to peace, etc. Again, they top out at pride, and this is being filled with pride, which means that they believe that they are grandiose and superior to you, so they will look down at you. So they have an impairment at the mind level, also at the emotional level, and also at the level of willpower. And this makes them very impulsive and compulsive people, because it is when you have a developed will, you will be a disciplined person. But their willpower muscle is weak. So again, at the level of the psyche or the personality or the soul, they have a severe impairment. And then when it comes to the spirit level, you're dealing with people that abandon their true selves in childhood for a false self. And the false self, again, is the ego. It is a mind-made construct. It is the mask that they wear to deceive you. Number 3, fear of abandonment. Narcissists often have an intense fear of abandonment. So stalking can be a way to ensure that the victim does not move on or find happiness without them. So remember again that narcissists are egomaniacs. They're ego beings having a physical experience. They're not really spiritual beings. They're programmed backwards. So pathological narcissists really do not want you to move on after the entanglement. And I stay away from calling these relationships most often, because you're not really in a mutually beneficial relationship. You're in a parasitic relationship. You really are in an entanglement, because what it is you have gotten out of an abuse cycle. And the narcissistic abuse cycle involves idealization or love bombing, devaluing, discard, whether you discard the narcissist or the narcissist discards you, and again, hoover. The narcissist is going to try to hoover to drag their victims back into this abuse cycle, because this is how they feel. Again, the third dimension is victim abuser consciousness. The only relationship that you'll have with a pathological narcissist is a victim abuser type 1, because that is the level of consciousness that they are stuck at. So after the relationship, they will stalk you because they really do not want you to move on. Narcissists believe that you are their object, so you are objectified. They believe that they own you. They believe that you are their property. Again, we're talking about dictator energy or colonizer energy in the third dimension. Someone that did not develop past their lower ego is not going to be a very healthy person. So narcissists do not want you to find happiness without them. But the thing is, you technically couldn't find happiness with them, because they're very miserable people, because you're stuck in suffering. And because they are stuck in suffering consciousness, again, at this low level vibration, then they will also want you to suffer with them. And this is where the popular saying, misery loves company, comes from. So narcissists have a very severe fear of abandonment. However, understand that you must get the courage to walk away and stay away. So you need to go low contact or no contact when you are dealing with narcissistic individuals, because they are abusers. They exist in victim abuser consciousness. Number 4, maintaining a connection. Stalking allows narcissists to maintain a psychological, physical, and emotional connection with their victims, even if it is through negative or harmful means. Remember again that you are the narcissist object. You are a thing that they can control. And this extends to after the entanglement. So if the narcissist, for example, wants you to remain friends after the relationship, understand that you cannot be friends with a snake. You cannot be friends with a bear. You cannot be friends with a lion. You cannot be friends with a hyena. Pathological narcissists are predators. So they will give you the whole can we be friends spiel because they really want to maintain a connection to you. They want your resources. They want your time. They want your energy. They want your attention. It could be even that they want your money. Again, these people want your resources. So it is important not to fall for the friendship Hoover trick that pathological narcissists often want to use. It is another ruse to get them to use you because you are the narcissist object. Number 5, need for narcissistic supply. Narcissists thrive on attention and admiration known as narcissistic supply. Stalking can be a way to continue getting attention from the victim. So narcissists are people addicts. All narcissists are addicts and they're all people addicts. So this makes them energy vampires and they require your energy to survive. Remember again that these people abandoned their true selves in childhood. They abandoned the true governor of the ship. They abandoned spirit. And we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So because they abandoned spirit, because they abandoned source, then they must plug into you as their new source of supply. I hope that you are getting the connection here that they must feed on you because they are incapable of generating this energy on their own. Again, the ego cannot self-reflect. The ego can only project. Hence, the ego needs to be fed. They cannot feed themselves. Hence, they are zombies. They have to feed on you. Pathological narcissists are parasites. Just like tapeworms, ticks, fleas, etc. They have to feed. And this feeding comes in the form of narcissistic supply. Again, the attention, admiration, validation, and the reflection of others. So it is important that you pull the plug, you cut the supply, and you stop feeding the demons. You stop feeding the beast. Because that beast is only there to harm you. Pathological narcissists, again, people want to be on your team. They want your time, your energy, your attention, and oftentimes your money, because a lot of them are money-hungry individuals. Number 6, and you have to look out for this one, people, retaliation. So it is very possible that they want to punish you for, a perceived slight. Maybe you gave them a narcissistic injury by walking away. So they'll want to punish you for that. So when it comes to retaliation, if the narcissist perceives the breakup as a rejection or humiliation, stalking may be a form of retaliation to regain a sense of power and control. So here's a quick tip. Write this down if you need to, or save this in your mental memory bank. Pathological narcissists hate to be fired, but they love to quit. So they love to discard, but they hate to be discarded. They hate to be cut off. So especially if you're in a situation with a malignant narcissist, again, those narcissistic sociopath, the sociopathic narcissist, the psychopathic narcissist, again, the very violent ones that have criminal records and domestic violence charges, sexual abuse charges, and so on. You should be very mindful of those type of individuals stalking you. Because again, for them, in their mind, they're saying, how dare you walk away? How dare you cut me off? Because again, these people are highly entitled and they're filled with pride. So they do not believe that anything is wrong with their behavior. And this is why they stalk. So you should be very mindful of retaliation after the narcissistic entanglement, because the narcissist may want to punish you. So oftentimes you'll hear where people will rekindle after a period of separation. And what will happen is a narcissist, when you get re-entangled with the narcissist, then they are going to punish you even more. They're going to attack you even more. They're going to psychologically abuse you even more, because they're going to put you in your place. And this is how the narcissist thinks. So especially if these individuals, especially the malignant types, have perceived a rejection. Again, when it comes to the narcissistic injury people, it is when the narcissist perceives a threat, whether real or imagined. So it is completely possible that these individuals have made something up in their mind that you have done to them that did not happen. Again, you're dealing with a psycho-spiritual illness. These people are insane. They're crazy. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. They will make things up in their minds and they will say that you did it. And you probably experienced this in a narcissistic intimate entanglement. For example, they will make up stuff in their mind and they will say that you are the one that did it because they are losing their minds and you cannot rationalize crazy. So be very vigilant when you are around these toxic individuals. Number 7, sense of entitlement. Narcissists often feel entitled to special treatment. Stalking can be an expression of this entitlement, as if the victim belongs to them, even after the relationship has ended. So there are 4 main characteristics that you can use to identify a pathological narcissist. Now, when it comes to the NPD diagnoses, the individual must have 5 or more of the traits listed in the DSM. And the DSM is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Illnesses. So clinicians, psychiatrists, psychologists, etc. need 5 or more of the traits that you see listed to diagnose someone. But I want to make it abundantly clear that if you encounter someone with 1 or at least even 2 of these traits, they are going to be a very dysfunctional individual. So you should not wait until they get to 5. They're already dysfunctional when they get to 5. So when it comes to narcissistic characteristics, here are the 4 characteristics that you should look out for. So number 1 is their grandiosity. This is their false sense of superiority because, again, they believe that they are better than you. They are master, you must be slave. They have to be above you. There is no equality in victim abuser consciousness. Somebody has to be up and somebody has to be down. The narcissist must be in control. Again, they're grandiose and superior. Secondly, they require excessive amounts of attention, admiration, and validation. Again, this is because you are boosting their ego. Thirdly, they are empathy impaired, which means that they do not have the capacity to put themselves in other people's shoes. So because they don't have empathy, what they do have access to is apathy. Pathological narcissists are based in shame and they cannot move past their pride. All they have access to are the emotions that exist in the 3rd dimension. And what is in the 3rd dimension is apathy. So you're dealing with a very cold individual and they are self-absorbed. And fourthly, understand that all pathological narcissists are pathological liars because they do not have a working conscience. The conscience is compromised. Jiminy kicked the bucket a very long time ago. So understand that Pinocchio's nose is stuck in the elongated position. So you cannot trust these individuals. And one of the other characteristics that you will find on this list is their entitlement. Again, you're dealing with people that are filled with pride. They believe that they are entitled. Again, they are superior and grandiose. They believe that they are a king and you are a peasant. And because you are a peasant, you must serve them. So they believe that you are their minions. So stalking oftentimes is an expression of entitlement. They believe that you belong to them. You are the narcissist object. You are an object to them. Nothing more than a piece of trash that you dispose in the trash bin. It's a piece of paper, you crumple it up, you throw it away. That is how the narcissists view you. So because they are highly entitled, they believe that you belong to them even after the relationship. Again, you're dealing with very dysfunctional, disordered individual. And we're talking about a disorder on the psycho-spiritual plane. And you definitely see this in the physical. Again, all narcissists are addicts. all of them are people addicts, and you may see other addictions such as drugs, alcohol, pills, meth, opioids, etc. They may be porn addicts, they may be gambling addicts, they may be shopping addicts, etc. So they're all people addicts. But where you see one addiction, you most likely will see others. So this is where the gambling and the porn addiction and the sex addiction and so on come in. Again, you're dealing with highly disordered individuals. You cannot build with a pathological narcissist because they embody destructive energy. And finally, number 8 is the lack of empathy. Narcissists lack empathy and may not understand or care about the impact of their stalking behavior on the survivors. And this, again, is how they think. They do not have access to empathy. What they do have access to is apathy. So you're dealing with a cold, callous, reptilian individual because all they have access to at an emotional level, and again, we're talking about a spiritual illness, so they have emotional arrested development also. All they have access to is between shame and pride. So think of any negative emotion that you can think of. All of those negative emotions exist between shame and pride. Pride is the most positive emotion that they have access to. And it is dysfunctional pride where they are filled with pride. Not healthy pride, like taking pride in their work. It is dysfunctional pride, which means that they are grandiose and superior and they believe that they are better than you. So narcissists do not have access to empathy. They cannot give you empathy. And if you also try to give them empathy, they will weaponize it because they cannot receive that in suffering. They cannot receive that via the third dimension. All of your love and kindness and compassion is going to evaporate right there at the line of pride. It's going to evaporate at the third dimension. You cannot love a narcissist and a narcissist cannot love you back. They do not have access to love. Love is all the way up there in the 500s. Pathological narcissism as an energy spectrum exists below the line of 200 on the Hawkins scale. Again, based in shame, cannot move past their pride. And the shame that we're talking about here is pathologically low self-esteem. Self-esteem so low that they would probably have to look up to see it. So it is little to non-existent. Again, these individuals abandon their true selves in childhood for a false self. They believe that they are the mask. They don't want to take the mask off. So they'll come around you and pretend to be Wonder Woman. And you're going to say, hey, take that mask off, be yourself. And they're going to get upset with you. And you'll see where they'll take the Wonder Woman mask off and put on the Spider-Man mask and try to dupe you with that. And if that one doesn't work, they take it off and put on the Thor mask. That is what you're dealing with. That is the personality disorder. If a pathological narcissist is around 100 different people, then they are 100 different masks. They do not have a underlying personality. And this is why you couldn't know them in the narcissistic entanglement. There's nobody to know. They don't exist. They did not develop a true personality. What they develop or what they have been working on is their ego, the masks that they use to deceive others. So understand that who you see in the love bombing does not exist. It is false. It is fake. It is a mask that they use to deceive you. And this would be very similar to Chucky when he pretends to be a good guy. That is a mask. It is a facade. It is a pretense. The true spirit of Chucky is the spirit of a serial killer. So you'll see the true narcissist in the discard and the devalue phase. That is the true cold, callous, reptilian, soul killer type individual that you're dealing with. The mask is what you're seeing in the Hoover. When they tell you that, oh, I've seen the light and they're going to therapy. And oh, they need you. They understand why the relationship ends. That's a lie. It's the mask. It's a lie. It's a pretense. They're doing this so that you drop your guard so that they can come around and abuse you. And understand that the deeper you get into these cycles, if you do not get the courage to walk away and stay away, the worse the abuse gets. Why? Because abusers believe that you are naive for trying to love them. They cannot receive your love. They cannot receive your empathy because they exist in the third dimension. You cannot love a narcissist, and a narcissist cannot love you back. If you give them your empathy, they will weaponize it. And it is one of their main manipulation tactics, because they believe that you are naive. They believe that your kindness is a weakness because they exist in survival mode. They exist in suffering consciousness. That is where they are stuck. And since they cannot ascend, then you must descend into the third dimension with them. Hence, you are in victim abuser consciousness with them. And they're going to be the abuser, so you're going to be the victim. And if that's not the case, then they will pull a DARVO on you, where they will deny what they have done. They will attack you and reverse the roles of victim and offender, because you cannot hold pathological narcissists accountable. So they're going to pretend to be the victim and claim that you are the one that is abusing them. That is what you get from someone that is stuck in victim abuser consciousness. DARVO is victim abuser consciousness. That is what you get at that low level vibration. So it is important that you adjust yourselves when you are dealing with pathological narcissists. And you do this by getting the courage to walk away. You get the courage to ascend, because pathological narcissists do not have courage. They're not powerful people. They are forceful people. Dictator energy, colonizer energy. That is what you're dealing with. They rule by force. And you get your power back when you get the courage to walk away. Level 200 or higher, that is where you do not encounter these individuals. Understand that you have no business in the third dimension. The only thing you will find in the third dimension is neglect, chaos, trauma, and abuse, because it is victim abuser consciousness. Abusers exist. They exist in victim abuser consciousness. Abusers do not think like you. Do not project your consciousness onto a pathological narcissist. They do not think like you. Eagles don't think like vultures. Eagles are hunters. Vultures are scavengers. Lions do not think like gazelles. Lions are hunters. Gazelles graze to eat. Every day a lion wakes up and the lion knows that it has to hunt to find its food. Every day a gazelle wakes up and the gazelle knows that there's going to be a lion running after it. So the lion is running towards the gazelle and the gazelle is running away from the lion. Lions do not think like gazelles. Predators do not think like prey. Victims do not think like abusers. So in order not to be a victim, you must get the courage to walk away and stay away from abusers. You only find abusers if you lower your vibration, if you lower your standards, and if you project your consciousness onto them. They do not think like you. They have never thought like you. If you thought like an abuser, then you would idealize, devalue, discard, and hoover. And idealize, devalue, discard, and hoover. But you don't do that because you're not an abuser. Victims do not think like abusers. Abusers do not think like victims. Abusers are stuck in the third dimension because they did not develop past their lower ego. They have arrested development. Leave them exactly where they belong, in the third dimension. You have no business in the third dimension. Stop trying to fix broken people. They are okay with how they are. They are filled with pride. They believe that they are perfect. Stop trying to fix them. They don't want your help. They want your subservience. They don't want your empathy. They want your subservience. If you give them your empathy, they will weaponize it because they have no use for it. What are they going to do with your empathy besides abuse you? Because they believe that you're naive. Because you keep trying to love them. And they have pathologically low self-esteem. So they don't love themselves and they do not believe that they are worthy of love. So you try to love them and they believe in their mind, at their level of consciousness, that you're trying to manipulate them. It really is that simple. Pathological narcissists exist in victim abuser consciousness. What you see on the Hawkins scale between shame and pride is exactly what they have to give and nothing else. They are in a shame, pride cycle, and pride cometh before the fall, so they fall right back down to shame. They have been in this cycle long before you came into the picture. Narcissists do not want your help. You projected your consciousness onto them, believing that they needed your help. Narcissists are not trying to grow. They're filled with pride. People that are filled with pride believe that they're perfect, so they don't need to change. They're perfect. So because you are a growing individual, because you are evolving and working on your development, you're a person that values personal development and self-help and growing, and you want to self-actualize and you want to reach enlightenment, then you assumed that pathological narcissists want that. That is projecting your consciousness. Narcissists believe that they are perfect. Perfect people do not need to change. So they're done growing. That's all she wrote. It's done. And because pathological narcissists are not progressing, because again, they're filled with pride, then they are regressing. An NPD, antisocial personality disorder, that which you may commonly call sociopathy or psychopathy, is regressive because they're done growing. It is arrested development. They are unripened fruits. And unripened fruits come from plants where that plant did not get enough nurturing, it did not get enough sunlight, it did not get adequate amounts of water. So it developed to its fullest state, but it developed unripened. And if you have ever bitten into an unripened fruit, you know that it doesn't taste right. It's off. It's missing some elements. And unripened fruits are like those horrible grainy apples that you find in the supermarket. They taste like cardboard. They taste off. And nature herself, Mother Nature herself, is telling you that you should not be eating this. This is off. Something is wrong with this fruit because it is unripened. And similarly, your intuition, the faculty that you got from nature, the faculty that is built into you, is telling you that you should not be involved with this individual because they're unstable. Something is off with this individual. They're not really thinking right. Nature tells you that. Your intuition tells you that. Your gut feelings are telling you that. Listen to your gut. Listen to your intuition. Do not rationalize away your intuition. Narcissists are off because they are off. They're losing their minds. They do not have control of their emotions. They do not have control of their will, and they abandon their true spirits in childhood. That is what you're dealing with. And you see this on the physical level because you're addicts, every single one of them. At minimum, they're people addicts. And at most, then you add in the other addictions, drugs, alcohol, meth, opioids, pills, porn, sex addiction, hoarding, shopping addiction, etc. All of this is because they believe that they are their ego, so they believe that they are perfect, and they do not want to work on themselves because they're spiritually lazy. They're done growing. Everybody on planet Earth is not growing. There are 8 billion, bravo, there are 8 billion people here. Every single person is not evolving. Some people are devolving. Case in point, the pathological narcissist. So understand that pathological narcissists, people that are stuck in victim abuser consciousness, are not growing, so they want you to adjust yourself to their abuse. Why would they change? Why would a king listen to a peasant? You're a peasant to a narcissist. How dare you tell them anything? That's a narcissist. They're egomaniacs. And also understand that you cannot know a pathological narcissist people. They don't exist. They go around using different masks to fool individuals. They have not been working on their true selves. They abandoned their true selves in childhood. So their spirit shriveled up, and now they have a overinflated ego. They don't exist. And if you truly understand that pathological narcissists do not exist, then your healing process will be so much easier. You are dealing with the figment of a child's imagination now inside of an adult's body. That is what you're dealing with. They don't have a spirit. The captain abandoned the ship. The driver is in the back seat. Well, the captain actually jumped overboard. Ain't nobody operating that ship. They're losing their minds. Pathological narcissists believe that they are the ego. They believe that they are the mind. They believe that they are the tool. There's no captain. And this is why oftentimes you will see where the lights are on, but nobody's really home because they've lost it. They're in the sunken place. They're in the upside down. And this is why when you're in these entanglements, nothing can ever be right. Everything is topsy-turvy. Up is down, left is right, in is out, because you're programmed backwards. So understand that if you're looking for people to have healthy relationships with, healthy intimate relationships, healthy friendships, etc., you're not looking for these individuals in the third dimension. People that are stuck in the third dimension are dregs in the spiritual cup. You want nothing down there. They're going to abuse you. They're going to be toxic. They're going to be dysfunctional because they're not working on themselves. They don't want to face their shame. They don't want to face their low self-esteem. So instead, they put on a mask and they sweep all of that stuff that they need to work on under the carpet. So now their carpet is a mountain high. And there's too much shame there. They're not going to look at it again. So they're going to go down the dark path of running from their shame. But they're going to get to pride. And pride comes before the fall. So they're going to fall right back down to shame. They have been like this long before you came into the picture. That is how they live. That is how they feel comfortable with living. They have adjusted to suffering consciousness. And this is why you get so highly dysregulated when you are around them. This is why you feel nausea when you're in their presence. You don't even have to talk to them. You just have to go around them. Their energy is toxic. It's poisonous. And if you are a feeler, if you're sentient, especially clear sentient, you will feel it. You go around them and you get nauseous. They make you sick to your stomach because you're dealing with a sick spirit. It's inverted. It's perverted. So listen to your intuition. Your intuition is telling you that something is off. And just like an unripened fruit, if you bite into it, you know that that fruit is off because something is missing from this fruit. It wasn't grown properly. And the same thing applies to pathological narcissists. So understand that these individuals will stalk you after the relationship because they believe that they own you. They are highly entitled and sick in the mind. They have a sick spirit, a sick, controlling spirit that rules by force, and they believe that they own you. That is what you're dealing with. A sick individual, and they are sick at their core. This is not just a simple mental illness. And oh, what can we do to help them? They don't want your help. They're perfect. They want your subservience. The narcissist wants you to shut up while they go out and cheat on you and treat you like a piece of... Not even going to say that word. That is really what they want. They want you to shut up and let them do what they want because they're egomaniacs. Narcissists want you to be okay with them stepping on you, people. You are the slave. They're master. You are the slave. They're master. Colonizer energy, dictator energy down there in the third dimension. That is how life is in suffering consciousness. So understand that to get away from these individuals, you must get the courage to walk away. You must get the courage to ascend. You must raise your standards. You must raise your vibration. If you lower your vibration, you're going to get into victim abuser consciousness. Somebody's going to rule you by force because you are not standing in your power. That is how that works. That is what Power versus Force by Dr. David R. Hawkins is about. That is what the entire Hawkins scale or the map of consciousness is about. You must get the courage to walk away. Stand in courage. Do not descend. So I'm not saying that you should not feel negative emotions, that you should not feel shame, or you should not feel fear, or you should not feel anger, but do not get stuck in the third dimension. Do not get stuck at that low vibration because people will eventually walk over you because you're not standing in your power, because you've lost your courage. So you must get your courage to ascend. You have no business in the third dimension. So understand that if you squeeze an apple, you get apple juice. If you squeeze an orange, you get orange juice. And if you squeeze a pathological narcissist, what you're going to get is various types of trauma, neglect, and abuse, because that is what they have to give. That is what you get in the third dimension. There's no love in the third dimension. Love is a high vibrational energy. It's all the way up there in the 500s. Pathological narcissists can't even see love. Oftentimes they have to look up to see their shame, because their shame is that low. Their self-esteem is that low. Pathologically low self-esteem. Self-esteem so low that they have to look up to see it. Little to non-existent. And you know that they don't have much self-esteem. That's why they put on those masks. They hate themselves. That's what you're dealing with. So it is crucial for survivors to take stalking seriously and seek help if needed. So this could be legal action. So you may need to get a lawyer. All right. You may need to get a restraining order. You may need to involve law enforcement. Again, all of these may be necessary to protect yourself. You maybe need to add cameras to your apartment or to your house to monitor what's happening. Again, you may need to do all of this to, again, protect yourself from the potential harm of a narcissistic stalker. Again, these people are losing their minds. It is regressive. They lose their minds the longer they are physically walking around on this planet, because they keep identifying with their ego. They keep identifying with the false self. The false self doesn't even exist. It's a mask. It is just like me coming on here pretending that I'm Wonder Woman. And if you don't validate my Wonder Woman mask, then I'm going to get upset with you and curse you out. Because you're not validating my false self. And you not validating my false self is giving me a narcissistic injury. That's what you're dealing with. Cuckoo. Loco. Crazy. Psycho. Spiritually crazy. There's no captain on that ship. Insane people. Understand that insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results. Wise words by Einstein. Narcissistic abuse is a cycle. Narcissists are in a shame pride cycle. Again, long before you came into the picture, people. They are losing their marbles. So they can't really play the game of life very well, but you can, because your consciousness, you are aware that your consciousness, and you have access to your emotions, because your emotions are tools. So at this time, you must get the courage to walk away and stay away from these toxic individuals. All of that love and kindness and compassion, go ahead and pour that back into yourself to revive your energy. And that is how you heal. Thank you so much for joining us today on the NarcDojo Podcast, where each episode is a treasure trove of insights, tools, and stories to help you break free from the shackles of narcissistic abuse and step into a life of strength and joy. Shika is the name. Thank you so much for your continued support. Ensure that you're liking these episodes. Ensure that you're subscribed for more empowering content. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next episode.